This is the day of light, not the triumphant blaze of Easter morning, not the rushing fire of Pentecost, but a gentler light, candlelight, the kind that flickers, the kind that you have to carry carefully, the kind that teaches you how to walk slowly, attentively through a world that is unfinished. Candlemas does not banish the darkness all at once. It teaches us how to live faithfully within it. And today we stand at a threshold. Mary and Joseph bring their child to the temple, not with speeches or certainty, not with explanations neatly tied up, but with obedience, vulnerability, and love. They offer what they have. They place what they love into God's hands. Faith, it turns out, is not about clarity. It is about showing up. It is about trust. Waiting for them is Simeon, a man who had lived long enough to know disappointment, long enough to carry prayers that have never been answered in the way that he hoped, long enough to understand that hope, if it is to survive, must become patient. He takes the child in his arms, and Candlemas refuses cheap comfort. It tells us plainly, if you love deeply, you will be broken open. If you hope fiercely, you will ache. And if you follow the light, it will lead you into shadow as well as joy. And still, we light the candles anyway. Because this light does not exist to protect us from pain. It exists to enter pain and refuse to leave. This is good news for anyone who has ever felt fragile, for anyone whose faith feels thin or threadbare, for anyone who has loved a person, a vocation, a community, or a version of themselves and had to let it go. It is good news too for those who have waited a long time to be recognized, to be named as beloved and not merely tolerated, to be received and without needing to edit themselves. The light of Christ is not reserved for the certain, the safe, or the socially approved. It is recognized by those who have learned to wait, by Simeons and Annas, by people whose lives have taught them patience, resilience, and hope. Here at St. James's, we dare to say aloud what the light itself declares, that no human life is a problem to be solved, not because of who they love or how they name themselves, not because of the body that they inhabit or the limits it carries, not because of the colour of their skin, the story of their ancestry, the faith they were given or are still searching for, or the class into which they were born. In this light, no one is an exception to grace. No one is a footnote in this gospel. All are bearers of God's image and are held and are called and are beloved. Because the Christ we carry today is not a theory or an idea. He is a body, vulnerable, entrusted and offered, and so are we. How can I sing that majesty we will sing later? How can language stretch far enough? How can praise rise high enough for a God who chooses smallness, fragility, and flesh? Candlemas answers, you sing it carefully, you sing it honestly, and you sing it with what you have. And sometimes all you have is a song that says, quite simply, this is for you. This is why this day speaks so clearly and beautifully to me today. Because like Simeon, I am blessing and I am letting go. Like Mary and Joseph, I am offering what I love into God's hands, without knowing exactly what comes next. Leaving St. James's is not simple. Some endings are faithful, and still they hurt. Some obediences feel like loss even when they are right. This church, this precious church, has been a sanctuary, a place of prayer and music, of beauty and courage, thoughtfulness and truth, a place where the gospel is not shouted but lived, not flattened but sung, not defended anxiously but trusted deeply. Here I have learned that faith can be intelligent without becoming cold, inclusive without becoming thin, and radical without losing its tenderness. That no one needs to edit themselves to be held by God, and that truth changes lives forever. I am not leaving because the light has gone out. I am leaving because the light has been entrusted to me, and now that light must be carried. Candlemas reminds us that God is not contained by buildings, however beloved and beautiful they are. The God who meets us in the temple is the same God who walks with us into change, who stands beside us on unfamiliar shores, who waits patiently at the edge of the sea and even on the Euston Road. As I go to Ramsey, to the Isle of Man, to a life I cannot yet imagine in full, I go trusting that the Christ who was carried into the temple today is already there, already present in wind and water, in silence and space, already faithful. And I do not go alone. I go held by prayer, by memory, and by love. I go carrying St. James's with me, its generosity, its courage, its insistence that the gospel must always be good news for everyone, and most especially the excluded and overlooked. And today, in the gentleness of Candlemas, this moment is not only a farewell, it is a sending. So I bless you, and I release you, and you bless me, and you release me, because that is what love requires. There are those among us today who know what it is to love someone whose presence is precious and fragile, whose journey is changing beyond our control. Candlemas speaks gently to that reality too. It tells us that God is present not only in strength, but in vulnerability, not only in certainty, but in trust, not only in remembering, but in being remembered, and not only in what we hold, but in what holds us. Simeon blesses the child, and then he lets go. And that is the hardest part of faith, and of being human, of being a parent or a child, to bless and then to release. Today is a broken-hearted celebration, but it is not a despairing one, because the light we bless today does not belong to us, it belongs to God. And God never wastes light. So let us bless one another. Let us bless St. James's and all that it has been and all it is yet to become. And let us bless what is ending, and let us bless what is beginning. And as we listen now to song, simple, honest, offered without defence, let us hear it for what it truly is, a nunc dimittis in another key, a love song that says, "This is for you, this is what I have, and it is enough." and let us walk gently, faithfully, bravely, aware of our fragility and unashamed of our softness, carrying the light we have been given, until that day when we too can say, with gratitude rather than fear, with love rather than regret, my eyes have seen your salvation. Amen.